going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all know by now that skill-based matchmaking is obviously one of the leading causes to why Call of Duty can't redeem itself, why it continues to go on a downward spiral, and, even with the more current-day stuff we've been getting, it's not as good as the OG stuff, but I think a lot of people would still enjoy what we have, right now, if the matchmaking was toned down. Of course, we would still have complaints. There's still things that need to be changed around. But honestly, I think if matchmaking wasn't as bad as it is, things would be looked at a lot differently. Now, again, we have seen proof after proof after proof of a lot of different things, but Nero Cinema actually went out of his way to do a little test on his own, and has really exposed skill-based matchmaking in a very interesting way. Instead of, like I said, all the patents and real proof with the gameplay seeing how sweaty and competitive it gets on, a regular basis, he went ahead and just showed the queue times. We all know, honestly, what the queue times are like with skill-based matchmaking enabled. We all say it takes forever to find games. But when it comes to the OG Classics, we haven't had the servers renewed in a long time. So to use the Classics as proof of, that skill-based matchmaking was much different back in the day compared to now, wasn't something that was very valid. Not really at all. And again, shout out to Nero Cinema for doing all this testing. I'm going to leave the link to his video down in the description of this video. Now with Microsoft renewing the servers for Xbox 360 and obviously the newer Xboxes as well because it's backwards compatible, the testing is actually really good, and it showcases, again, the massive problem that we have with current-day COD. But ladies and gentlemen, just very quickly, before we go ahead and dive deep, if you guys do enjoy what you hear today, and you want to hear some more about, Call of Duty, Battlefield, or even X-Defined, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification button. And last but not least, we will be streaming today over on Kick, so if you guys want to check that out, the link to that is in the description as well. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, Nero Cinema went ahead in his video and tested out 6 different CODs back-to-back to see how long it would take to get into, obviously, a lobby, compared to one game of Modern Warfare 2 2022. And again, it's fantastic because it truly does expose how skill-based matchmaking was back in the day. The developers are always bringing up the topic that, skill-based matchmaking was in the prime titles. And obviously, it was to a certain extent, but my goodness, the difference is current date is just, it's mind-boggling. He was able to get through 6 games of Call of Duty, find 6 different matches across the board, and every single one of the OGs, before even finding one match in Modern Warfare 2 2022. The algorithm took that long in our brand new spanking, fantastic new Call of Duty games that are supposed to be populated, packed to the brim, right? Filled, stuffed, popping player counts, all-time highs, Call of Duty's going to the moon, going crazy. Yet and still, it takes more time to get into that experience compared to our OG Classics. And again, it is a smaller player count, player pool, so it's going to quicken up the pace, obviously. But really, if there's hundreds of thousands of people hopping on Modern Warfare 2 2022, it shouldn't take, 5+ minutes to get into one singular game. And it's all because they are micromanaging your stats every second you play. It's one of the main reasons why Call of Duty is dying, and it's one of the main things Microsoft has to do in order to fix up the franchise. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to do that, and they want everybody to hop back onto the OGs. And if that's the case, then so be it. I don't mind. The servers are fixed up. If they continue to fix them up, I'll be happy. If they make some type of collection, I'll be happy. Doesn't bother me. I'll just play the classics. But if Microsoft does want to improve the newer CODs, and they do want to make this franchise go in a better direction, they have to loosen up the matchmaking. Or I guess the game will just stick as BR because obviously in Battle Royale, the matchmaking is a little bit more lenient because there's tons of players in the experience. One of the main reasons why I only played Ground War Modern Warfare 2019 was the fact that there were so many players that it was more of a mix. You have your sweats, you have your average players, maybe some newcomers hopping into the experience, everything across the board. Every engagement was different, unique, interesting, different ways of going about it. That's the only way to have fun, is going into large-scale game modes, and Warzone provides that. Even if it is dying off a little bit and it's worse than, Warzone 1, at the end of the day, that's the only thing that people can hop into for a casual game, and that's where the majority of the casuals are even going. If they even dared try to enter the core 6v6 experience, it's probably only for the small map modes like Shipment 24/7 so they can grind out camos. That's it, because that's all people want to tolerate when it comes to this game. Nobody wants to hop on COD like back in the day just to kick back and enjoy their experience within the game. Because once again, the matchmaking is always micromanaging their stats. I mentioned it a couple of times, but I'm going to mention it again. XDefiant, for an example. That playtest was such a fantastic experience because there was no skill-based matchmaking. And it's funny because even with no skill-based matchmaking, there are sweats. There's always going to be sweats. Always. I mean, even thinking back to, OG Modern Warfare 2, OG Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, all that good stuff. Hopping into Search and Destroy, you weren't just stomping out a bunch of lobbies. The majority of the fun lobbies in Search and Destroy was when you were getting into beefs, trash-talking one another, and getting into competitive lobbies. That was, where all the excitement was. So yeah, competition will always be there. But it was a mix of experiences. Competitive lobbies, casual lobbies, in the middle lobbies. You get a little bit of everything. And while playing the closed and open beta for XDefiant, that's all I got. A mix of lobbies. Of course, I'm going to sweat. I'm ready for it. But at least it's not overwhelming. At least it doesn't feel like ranked. When I'm in ranked, I'm ready for something of that sort. I want to go ahead and try to grind up a rank. I want to go ahead and improve. I'm all about it. But when I'm playing casual, I want to play casually. I don't mind sweating my butt off and competing, but don't force it down my throat every 5 seconds. And while playing XDefiant, my experience was across the board. Fantastic, phenomenal. And it reminded me of OG Call of Duty. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants someone behind the scenes dictating their stats and hunting them down every 5 seconds to quote-unquote optimize their experience. No, just prioritize connection and keep us going. Get us into games quickly. And while we're in the games, have team balancing. So if people stay in the same lobby, it rotates players around to make sure it's all balanced out. If the lobby's too sweaty, too competitive, leave and find a different match. But stop making these hour-long waits to get us into the best criteria. It's pointless. It's going to drive every Call of Duty player insane. And seeing that NeuroCinema could get into 6 different Call of Duty games by the time one Modern Warfare 2 2022 game loaded was just that was the icing on top of the cake. It truly was. The only reason the OGs are loading 10 times faster is because it isn't dissecting your stats. It's not seeing what you're using, what weapons you rotate to, how you play the game, how you move about the map. How your every single detailed movement goes along in the game itself. It puts you into a game with good connection. Sometimes you'll sweat, sometimes you won't. Whatever your game may get into, if people stay, it'll team balance it. As people, keep hopping into the lobby, leaving the lobby, hopping into the lobby, it'll keep balancing out as time goes on until everybody ends up leaving and it's just a dead lobby. That's the best formula. Not what we have now, where we have to wait 2 centuries for them to dissect us after every game that we play. And it's insane. And playing with friends is a even harsher experience as well, because it's more people on top of it. Again, it's one of the main reasons why I think a lot of people play Warzone. I think that 6v6 could be good competition and could actually live up with a good name next to Warzone if the skill-based matchmaking wasn't there. And obviously, they need to produce a good game to even begin with. But if skill-based matchmaking was toned back, people would actually play it. They would. They would enjoy the experience, especially playing it with friends. It's Microsoft, please. You're the only people to ask now. You're the only people to ask. I don't know if you're going to be that generous, because I know Activision behind the scenes has tons of stats proving to you that, skill-based matchmaking is the most fantastic thing ever, and it makes tons of money. But from the community, this is horrible, and it needs to be removed, or at least toned back. It doesn't need to be removed. Obviously, it has a place in COD, but it needs to be toned back so we can have a better, more laid-back experience while giving us ranked, so we can still sweat if we want to sweat. But ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go down in the comment section and leave your opinions down below about how you feel about this overall situation. And also let me know, how is your OG experiences going right now? Are you able to get into lobbies pretty quickly as well? How's the skill-based matchmaking for you? And honestly, are you enjoying the experience more or less? I have been just diving deep, honestly, because also with the news of Xbox 360 servers being revived, more PC players are hopping back on the mods, on the actual games themselves, and everything is slowly repopulating. It's kind of nice to see. So hopefully that continues to go in that direction. Hopefully, maybe Microsoft can support PC and potentially PlayStation as well to get the servers a little bit more active, and we can have more of a future with these type of games. But, at the end of the day, when it comes to skill-based matchmaking, I definitely think these experiences are way better. Even with a server browser, and, these lobbies get pretty competitive and sweaty. I will much rather take these competitive, sweaty lobbies over what we have current day, because at least these competitive sweaty lobbies, we're all hitting auto assign, so we're all shuffling around every single game, so the sweat transfers, teams balance sometimes, and it's not official auto balancing, it's just us auto assigning ourselves, and it's still more casual than what we have current day. Forget it, man, forget it. We need skill-based matchmaking removed. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like button. If you hated it, leave a dislike. Also, if you're brand new into the content, don't forget to subscribe and that notification button. Also, want to chat with me, there's two ways to do so: Twitter and Discord, both linked down in the description. And also want to catch me live streams of video games over on Twitch, link does in the description as well. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in. See you on the next one. Peace out.